I paint terribly corny things. It's a very dangerous edge to be on. Really trite things. Those are the things that move people. A rainbow, a sunset. But I've decided that if you paint them with great severity, formal severity, you can get away with it. I invited about 3 dozen people, except for one couple. They're all coming. Gooey chocolates, cheese, fruit, a traditional German Christmas cake. Yes, I'm picking up. My name is Vera Klement with a K. I had 6 cakes. I remember I once made a painting in the 80s. It was the beginning of my working with the figure. And I had this figure just from here up and from the back. And my project was to show that she was sobbing without showing her face. And I thought I just succeeded admirably. A couple bought the painting, and they said to me, "We just love your work. It's so cheerful." I just let it go, but it's really strange. You worry when you make a new work whether it's as good as previous work. What should I do next? Maybe you should have taken a different path. I live in fear and trembling of not coming up with the next thing. Fortunately, that hasn't yet happened. But it's a tense moment in between. I'm ready to roll. My plan is to lay it on the ground and wantonly throw some red paint at it. This is an homage to Shostakovich. It's an attempt to memorialize his struggle with the Soviet regime that tried in every way to suppress his freedom and his individuality. The pose is holding on to his self. The shape on the left, the black, is the back door at which most Russians expected a visit from the government in the middle of the night. And you hear that in the quartet, where you have these 3 knocks. The knocks at the door in the early hours of the night. I was born in the German Hanseatic city-state that no longer exists. When I lived there, it was a German independent city until the Nazis moved in 1933, and they adopted the Nazi doctrines against the Jews. We left really very late, before it would have been too late. I attended school for a year from the age of 7 to 8. And then that woman was no longer allowed to teach Jews. So I had no more schooling till I came to New York. When I went to school the first few days, the teacher passed out some paints. And she said, "Today we're going to paint a clown." I came to the place where the legs divide. And I didn't know how to draw that division. We had a room in a hotel at the time, and the whole family of 4 lived in this one room. And I asked my father for cardboards that come in shirts when they come from the laundry. And I sat on the bed. I drew and erased and drew and erased until I got a fairly realistic looking clown. And I figured out how one makes an image. You're using wet paint with all its arbitrariness to try to approximate this manifestation of the interior life of another person. It happens in a way accidentally, because if you move your brush a tiny bit, then the whole likeness can be gone. A remarkable thing to do, to try to make a likeness of another person. Very hard, very hard. Hey.
How are you?
Hey.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for coming.
Good to see you.
Who's here? Hi.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You look beautiful.
Is this the very day?
No, tomorrow.
Real proud.
Thank you for coming.
What a young 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Your skin is so gorgeous. You
Thank
look
you.
great.
Hey.
Like a Warhol or something.
From Dmitri Shostakovich. I changed the part. I narrowed the head. DSCH. Da 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 da. You know that? For the quartet number 8. Yeah.
For
Right, let me
her
do it.
years of friendship and wisdom, we should all somehow raise our tea glasses and wish
I think I
Vera
have some.
collectively a brilliantly, very happy 80th birthday.
Thank you.
And as the to Vera.
I went through a whole process of figuring out scale. I have found that it's incredibly powerful to have this vacancy and then have this fist of energy in the center. And so it requires for me to have a certain amount of space to condense the object and to use the white as the chaotic space out of which this thing is created. So that took me quite a while to figure out how large this figure ought to be on this canvas. Once you have the content idea, what you really are left to deal with in your mind and in your activity is the formal rendering. And that becomes utmost. Formal problems that need to be solved. And that's what carries one. I don't want to be cutting edge. I want to be timeless.
Did you get that shot with my leg in the sink?
Yes.